Hello everyone, welcome back to Neuralness. This is our sixth episode. This is the sixth podcast. And you know what, we'll just jump right in. And just now I got the most interesting AI news I've heard this year. So in episode 4 of Neuralness, we discussed Daila, the AI minister appointed by Albania to eliminate corruption, right? And apparently Daila is pregnant with 83 children. I'll just read the news for you guys. Speaking about world's first AI-generated minister Daila in Albania, PM Edi Rama said, "We took quite a risk with Daila here and we did very well." So for the first time, Daila is pregnant with 83 children. He added that the children will act as assistants and record everything happening in the parliament to keep the legislators informed about discussions they miss.
Yep. So that's a very interesting news to get started with the news section. Basically, so basically they had the minister, and now 83 kids in one go is like a huge record in itself, right? So what they're trying to do is they're trying to provide assistance to all the ministers that they've got, right? So they've got 83 members of parliament or their party, and everybody's getting an assistant, and the project is supposed to probably go live in end of 2026, so it will probably be a year-long pregnancy, right? So it's good to see that they've kind of, so they're doubling down on their investment on AI. I mean, I was kind of skeptical initially that, how the AI would perform and things like that. I mean, I don't think they've done, it's just been a month, right? They started in September, they're already doubling down in October itself. Maybe they've seen some positive effects of that, so that's why they're doubling down on that. Or maybe this is again a kind of corruption. They are colluding with a AI company and they are trying to, who knows. But then finally the point is they're going to have AI assistants, and the assistants will basically, so if the minister leaves for a break during parliament, when parliament is in session, then assistant would record all the proceedings, and then it will update the minister, and the minister can respond, or the assistant itself can respond to those queries. So maybe, I don't know, this can have a lot of implications, but let's not go there. For now, this is a very positive and very interesting news. I was not expecting this news at all, like at least so soon. But interesting times we're living in. So,
cool. Yeah. So I've been on Twitter and Reddit lately, and a lot of influential people are talking about AGI again. There are speculations that we could reach AGI by next year, by 2026. So what exactly is your take on this? Let's just go back to the topic of AGI again.
So I would not go into my take on it because so everybody has their own take. But for now, the news that you're referring to, there's an MIT professor and OpenAI staff member called Alexander Madry, right? He recently said that, we have kind of all the technology, we've made all the technological breakthroughs. So now it's just a straight road to, AGI, and we should be able to achieve it in 2026. That's what he said. That's where the debate started again. And his point was basically before AGI, there is ANI, which is artificial narrow intelligence, which we all are seeing that, in every domain, for example, video, for example, coding, for example, transcription and everything, sound and voice and everything. There are sufficiently good models, right? So he's saying ANI has already been achieved, narrow intelligence in multiple different domains. Now we've figured out scientific breakthroughs, how we can translate that into AGI, which is general intelligence, which is where systems would be generally capable of doing all the tasks, right? So that's where he's saying that, we should be able to achieve it in 2026. And coming from OpenAI, it could be very credible as well, because he's like MIT professor as well. So that's where that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is Andrej Karpathy, right? So he's somebody so most of us know him for coining the term vibe coding, right? So he was the one he's been coining a lot of terms. So basically, Andrej Karpathy recently went to Dwarkesh Patel's podcast, and that's been very widely viewed, and lots of people are kind of following that. So that's where he said, it will take at least 10 more years for AGI to arrive, right? So he kind of dug deeper into that, and he kind of explained why he thinks that way. So that's where we have a broad spectrum of AGI starting next week, next month, next year, or 2035. And the way AGI is defined is very loose. Basically, everybody is coming up with their own definition. For example, Andrej Karpathy is sticking to the definition that OpenAI had, because Andrej also worked with OpenAI earlier on, right? So he's like, when all the economically useful tasks AI is able to perform those in the same manner as a human does, or probably better than that, right? That's where he terms, like we would have achieved AGI, right? What he means is it doesn't only mean, you have to do knowledge work or computer-based work. It has to be all physical and everything, right? So we know that robots are not as good currently, so definitely that will take time. So from his perspective, definitely, I mean, I don't know whether, Alexander Madry talked about physical work as well or not. I don't think so. He was most likely referring only to knowledge work, computer-based work. But that's where also Andrej is kind of, not thinking that it will come by next year. He thinks at least 2, 3, 4 years probably, because he thinks, even for knowledge work, there are lots of areas that still need to be explored. For example, memory for agents and a lot of areas, right? Even models are not 100% accurate all the time, right? So that's where, we have got very different definitions for AGI. We've got very different timelines for AGI. But one thing is certain, AI is making lots of progress every year, or every 6 months, or every 3 months, right? So that's where, let's see. I mean, some people are saying that we are already in AGI, because the Turing test was passed in 2022 itself, right? So that was the only credible test that we had, right? So everybody is, divided on this, but we know that we are making a lot of progress on AI, and that too very rapidly. That's the real truth. Let's see, how, when people declare that they've reached AGI.
So if I were to simplify Andrej Karpathy's definition of AGI, it would be when AI could do every single job that earns humans money, then we can say that we have reached AGI. Would that
absolutely
be correct?
It's not his definition, it is OpenAI's definition. That's what Sam Altman also talks about, right? So in very simple terms, that's the absolute right way to look at it.
Okay, and moving on, I would like to go to DeepSeek. DeepSeek recently came out with their new DeepSeek OCR. And actually, would OCR be classified as narrow artificial intelligence, ANI, right? Because it's performing one simple task.
Yep.
Okay. So I've learned something new as well in the first 10 minutes. So talking about DeepSeek OCR. Let me just explain what OCR is for the viewers. So the first ever project that I vibe coded by myself, it was basically a timetable reader. I would just upload an image to OpenAI using the OpenAI API for the OCR. It would read whatever was in the image and just convert it to a JSON file. That's what an OCR does.
Optical character recognition, right? OCR. Yep.
Yeah. So it basically reads whatever is written in the image and writes it down for you, basically. But DeepSeek recently launched their own OCR, and it is making headlines. It's something very, very interesting. I don't think I'd be able to do it justice, so I'll hand that over to you. Can you explain what is special about DeepSeek's OCR?
So basically, OCR, like you rightly pointed out, so if you do a handwritten text, or if you do a typewritten text and scan it, and then let model figure out text from that, that's what OCR is.
Yep.
And there are so many models. For example, Google's Gemini Flash 2.5 does marvelously well for handwritten text. I mean, I was completely amazed when I used it, right? So OCR has already been solved, right? Now, what exactly new DeepSeek has done? One is DeepSeek is totally open source, right?
Yeah.
Second thing is why DeepSeek OCR is making huge waves in technology is they have kind of made a very interesting breakthrough with this technology and with this paper that they've published. What they've said is, so one very interesting concept with AI is context window, right? Every model has a context window, which let's loosely term term it as number of characters it can keep in its memory. For example, as humans, when we try to think about something, we keep certain things in our active memory and we think around that, right? Similarly, for model, it's called context window. And for example, Gemini's model has 1 trillion or almost 1 trillion or 2 trillion context tokens context window. Similarly, every model has 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, that kind of context window, right? So that means that much text can be kept in the memory. Now, what DeepSeek has done is it has literally proven that, an image is worth 1,000 words. So what they've done is, instead of using text and feeding that text into the LLMs, they are feeding images of text to LLM. And what they're claiming is, if you pass image of text to the LLM, then it increases the context size for the LLM by 10x. So if you had a model that supported pretty much let's say 1 million context window, that will become 10 million, right? So I'm sorry, initially I said trillion, that's not trillion, it's million, 1 million or 2 million, right? So 1 million context window becomes 10 million context window, right? So it would not be directly like the way I'm saying 1 to 10, but they're saying that an image context window can hold much more information compared to text. So that is revolutionizing the whole, paradigm of context windows, and that's where this paper from DeepSeek is really interesting, which is where like everybody's kind of so that's the latest breakthrough that they've made with that paper, which is why it's called creating lots of waves.
So the phrase "a picture is worth 1,000,000 words" it literally came into existence.
Yeah, not million but 1,000. But in terms of yes, it could be a million as well.
Wow, so that's very interesting. Solving a problem that already was solved and basically discovering something new in that.
Oh, absolutely. So Chinese are doing really great job at AI. I mean, they're first of all releasing lots of open source models, open weights models as they're called. Plus, they're putting out papers with all the information of what kind of research that they're doing. This used to happen from most of the US companies, right? But right now, China is leading into that. I don't know why or how, but they are doing superb job at that. They're kind of leading. So they're making a lot of. So this could be because of their constraints. They don't have the latest GPUs. They don't have that. They cannot splurge a lot and get lots of GPUs like US can, right? So which is where they're working under constrained environments, and which is where they're able to figure out a lot of very interesting discoveries, which is very useful for everybody. Even the US companies are kind of leveraging that. So that's where it becomes very, very interesting.
That's very interesting. And now I think we'll move on. In every single episode, we've more or less discussed some sort of lawsuit, some sort of legal trouble. And this time it is Perplexity. Last time it was Anthropic, I believe. And this time it's Perplexity. Reddit is suing Perplexity. So Reddit is suing Perplexity because they're saying that Perplexity basically scraped Reddit's data and used it unlawfully, unlike all the other companies like OpenAI and Google, which had an LLC with Reddit. So that's very interesting topic as well. And all the scrapers that were allegedly used by Perplexity are being sued as well in Lithuania, in Russia, in all these countries. So yeah, that's what do you think? What do you think about this?
So that's a very interesting thing, and the process that they employed to figure out whether Perplexity is scraping and all, that was also very interesting. Maybe you want to talk on that a little.
Basically, we can say they set a booby trap. A booby trap was set by Reddit in order to catch if Perplexity was basically entering their houses legally or not, was trespassing or not.
So basically, they set up some indexes, some documents which are only to be indexed or provided to Google indexers, right? Which was only available for Google to crawl and stuff. But then very soon they found that those citations were made by Perplexity. So on those grounds, they're kind of saying that Perplexity is scraping data from their site, and Perplexity is using their data. So basically that was very interesting way for them to only make it available for Google and see if Google crawls it or somebody else does as well, and which is where they were able to figure out and so which is where they sent them a cease and desist notice so that they stop using it. But they've noticed that after Perplexity got cease and desist notice, after that citations have increased. So I don't know what's going on there, but basically Perplexity is saying that they've lawfully used it. They're on the right side of the law and stuff. So they will have to probably prove it and stuff. But currently Perplexity's position is straightforward and simple, that we have done everything lawfully, and then they are going to probably respond in the court and how they are doing and things like that. So that's very interesting. Earlier Anthropic was sued for using lots of pirated books. Now we are seeing this Perplexity. So Reddit, the data from Reddit is very interesting for AI learning and fine tuning and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you want to talk a little about that?
So Reddit is referred to as the best source if you want to teach your AI model about what actual human opinions are, because a lot of platforms, Twitter, YouTube comments, these are filled with bots.
Yep.
Whereas Reddit comments, Reddit threads, they're some of the most genuine, and Reddit has the most opinionated people on the internet. You will find opinion on what sort of water you should drink. So Reddit has got some of the best actual human opinions on various topics. So
that, and plus they've got upvotes and those kind of features which drives how much of that content is being consumed and liked by humans. Absolutely. So that they have a treasure trove of human data which every AI company wants to get access to, and which is where they've set up a paid paywall against that, right? So let's see how Perplexity comes out of the lawsuit, but that's where we are.
And next up, this is the first time we're featuring this company on this podcast, and that would be Netflix. Netflix has decided to go all in on generative AI. Recently, there was this Argentinian sci-fi fiction series on Netflix.
The Ethernaut.
Yeah. And basically, in the last episode of that series, a building falls down. And later, Netflix revealed that this particular scene where the building falls down was completely generated by AI. And people are going nuts about this. So, what do you think?
So, I agree. Basically, the video models have reached a point where they can definitely be used at least for 10, 15, 20 second kind of clips, right? So, which is where, and Netflix as a company has proven its DNA in terms of how it evolves, right? So when I was in the US in 2001, 2003 time frame, right? That time Netflix was somebody who would send out DVDs on postal, right? So, and then they evolved into streaming in 2005, 6, 7, 8 time frame when the internet came in, and now they know that AI generated content is going to disrupt videos. So they are first to embrace it pretty much. They're saying that, on our platform, the content that you're seeing would have AI. They've already, used it in one of the episodes of the Ethernaut, which is Argentine, web series, right? So that's interesting. And so one of the bigger point was basically AI generated videos would not make everybody a storyteller, right? A storyteller would be able to use it better and would become more empowered and would be more productive. That's what their point is, and which is absolutely true. Basically, if I know coding, I can use AI models much more effectively to generate code and to use that code, right? Similar analogy applies to videos as well. If you know how to direct a video, if you know how to create a movie, right? That's where you can fit in frames from AI as well, right? That's the short-term view, at least from my perspective. The longer-term view, for example, last year we were able to just generate functions within code from AI. Now we are generating modules and we are going bigger and bigger. I think that similar thing would happen with videos as well. So currently, obviously 10, 15, 20 seconds kind of clips are being made. But very soon, when I say very soon, it could probably be 6 months to a year kind of time frame. AI would be able to generate a lot longer content. And that's where interesting things would happen on video side, right? So one perspective is that. Second perspective is basically Hollywood is already, kind of, shaking basically because of AI, right? This AI actress called Tilly Norwood, right? So she featured in a lot of videos, right? And so that's where Hollywood stars and actors are kind of scared that we will have AI generated avatars of people or completely AI generated actors and actresses, right? Which could be used for generating content. So on one end of the spectrum, Netflix is kind of promoting AI generated content. On the other end of the spectrum, people are kind of scared that they might end up losing their job, because ultimately the actors and everybody is kind of earning a lot of big bucks from movies as well as advertisements. And advertisements are 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 seconds kind of videos, right? So which is where AI generated avatars or smaller clips generated by AI could very easily be done, right? So that's where AI is disrupting video landscape as well.
And just 2 years ago, the videos created by AI models, there's a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely. If you look at that spaghetti,
Will Smith spaghetti video,
so a couple of years back and today, that's a huge difference. Yeah. Wow. So AI video models have come a long way within last couple of years.
Yep. And now moving on, I think this is the first time we're featuring this company as well. And that would be Amazon. Amazon has recently been in the news. It is said that they're making new AI-powered smart glasses for their delivery drivers. So basically, what would happen is when the driver reaches a certain destination on their path, these glasses would activate themselves. As soon as the driver goes to the back side of the vehicle where all the packages are kept, the correct package would light up basically in his spectacles. So, and a map of of the address will be shown in the glass as well. So the Amazon delivery process was already very streamlined. This would just take it from the 90% to 95 or maybe 100%, I believe.
Yep. So Amazon is a company that works basically on very low margin, right? So they rely very heavily on automation, right? And so this is the next level of automation they're trying to do. Basically, even now, the delivery persons from Amazon, they have their everything on mobile. They navigate through mobile and they, kind of scan and do everything from mobile. But now that's being changed. They don't have to have mobile interface. They can probably do it from their glasses, like Akshan already said, right? So that's where, the implications of that could be a lot, right? But first thing is the technology. For example, when the vehicle is moving, they're saying that the glasses would not be active. The moment vehicle stops, that's where glasses become active, and then you go back and you look for package, which is where it will help them figure out which package has to be delivered, and then it navigates you through the path, and then when you deliver the package, it'll ensure the package is delivered to the right person, and it'll probably even take images and all, I don't know. But so that's what they're trying to do with their glasses, which is very interesting. And a lot of people could probably within their warehouse also they would start using those glasses, and a lot of warehousing companies and a lot of similar domain companies could also end up using that technology. That's one aspect of it. The second aspect, so similar related news came from Amazon that by 2033 600,000 Amazon people working in warehouses and delivery side, they would not be hired, right? So they're not job losses, but those people would not be hired for. So for example, for next couple of years, they would not hire 150,000 people, right? And this would help them save almost 30 cents per delivery, right? So that makes it almost $12.5 billion right, in 2033. And my thought is basically when you have those glasses, when you're helping people navigate through the street to deliver it, right, all of that would probably be recorded, would probably be stored on Amazon's cloud server somewhere, and would be used to train these robots that they're coming out with, right? So all of these humans that they're going to be replaced by robots, they would learn from those videos. So this is a complete ecosystem. That's what my guess is. I don't know, but these two news fit in kind of together. Basically, initially empower the humans to do the job, and then use that learning to teach AI to do that job, and then replace humans. That's what the strategy has been, and that's what everybody's trying. So that's where my guess is those two news from Amazon tie together like this.
Yeah, and I mean, Amazon owns Boston Dynamics, right? They've owned Boston Dynamics for a couple of years. So yeah, I can see this playing out perfectly, how you described it.
No, absolutely. I mean, they've already, so both of these news came almost 2 or 3 days apart.
Yep.
So which is where I kind of think that they fit in together.
Yeah.
But apart from that, like you said, we're talking about Amazon first time. So we've talked about AWS in terms of hosting models and everything. But Amazon as a company, as a delivery and e-commerce company, yes, we are talking about that first time in this podcast.
And now moving on, this usually we start with this company, but now we're covering this company in the second half of this podcast, and that would be OpenAI. So this week, OpenAI came out with their own AI-powered browser. We've been using Comet, we've been using Dia for a very long time. And OpenAI came out with their own browser. It's called Atlas. And there are a lot of mixed reactions. We've tested Atlas as well as Comet pretty thoroughly. I've used Comet for like 2-3 months. And yeah, we've been testing Atlas for like 3-4 days at least. What has been your user experience of Atlas? What do you think?
So I explored Atlas. So first of all, the user interface was very similar to OpenAI's, chat kind of interface, right? One thing that was very odd for me, and I think they've rushed through the, because everybody's in the land grabbing mode currently. They're trying to get as many users as possible, as soon as possible, right? So which is where I don't think they've thought through the UI completely. For example, if you look at that chat window, right? You have those tabs at the top where first tab is about chat, the second tab is about search results, and the third is for images. And all. Now, one of the use cases where I got stuck was I searched about something, right? It talked about that, and then I searched about completely different thing again on that same window. Now, for chat kind of interface, it definitely makes sense for me to change the context and go to a news chat.
Yep.
But as a browser, because I'm used to using Google search from the same search thing for different things, right? I try to use it like that itself, right? So the first chat was about, let's say, what are black holes? And the second chat was about what all new things have happened at OpenAI, right? Now, on the chat, yes, I could see that, black holes was there and then this was there. But on the next tab where they display search results, now search results were also getting kind of accumulated. The first result was about black holes, 10 results, and then you have 10 results about OpenAI. Then it becomes, if you do 10 or 15 searches, it'll be so difficult for you to navigate through all of those like sources, right?
Yeah.
So they've not thought through that UI. I think Perplexity Comet has thought through that UI a lot better, and that was very simple thing that if you use it, you will very quickly realize it, right? So I think they completely focus on the agentic use of the browser, which is where the agentic use kind of shines in the sense that the UI and UX that they've got, the way it appears there, it looks very sci-fi.
Yeah.
Right? It's still not able to get the job done in the sense that either they have a lot of restrictions in place. For example, I was searching for AirPods Pro kind of thing. I didn't say 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, right? Yeah. So I said latest version of AirPods Pro I want to buy. Right? So it was able to figure out that Pro is only available with 3. So it went there and searched for 3. But it initially showed that there's Flipkart, there's Amazon, and then there is Apple site as well.
Yeah.
But it navigated to Apple site, it added to the cart, and then told me that, it's added to your cart. Then I asked it, I specifically want to buy it from Amazon. It said it cannot do it from Amazon. It just showed me some options there like it does on the chat, and that's it. But when the same thing you tried on Perplexity, It did the same with Flipkart and Amazon and Apple. So which is where Perplexity is doing a lot either better job, or they've got permissions from all of these companies to do it there, or how, I don't know what's stopping OpenAI from doing it. Is it the technology thing, or is it they don't have the tie-ups with these companies? I don't know. But currently the experience was underwhelming. I think that they've rushed into it just because they saw that Perplexity is kind of grabbing a lot of land in terms of browser things, right? So that's what my feeling was. And there was no innovation that I could see, which was, anything novel that Perplexity has not done and these guys have done. I couldn't find anything like that on this.
Yeah, so basically what he was saying, we ran this test, we gave the same prompt to both Atlas and Perplexity Comet, that we want to add AirPod Pros to, we just want to add them to the list, right? So Atlas gave up after adding it to the checkout list from the Apple website, whereas Perplexity Comet, it's not, the transition of the screens is not as smooth as Atlas, but it works ultimately, Perplexity Comet. So what Perplexity Comet did was it went on 4 different sites. It went to Amazon, it went to Flipkart, it went to Reliance Digital, and it would not give up ultimately. The program, it ran for like 10 minutes, but it was able to finally add to the cart. It was able to add AirPod Pro to the cart in all these websites, and it was able to find me the better deal. I don't think it's programmed to do that, but somehow it did. Ultimately, Reliance Digital had some sort of sale going on, so that is what it suggested me in the end.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yep. So I didn't have that kind of experience with Atlas at all, which is where I didn't enjoy it that much.
So initial impression would be underwhelming.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, OpenAI has been saying that they're developing in public. They keep sending out newer versions and updated versions very regularly.
Yeah.
But they are spreading themselves so thin that I don't know whether they'll be updating everything that they've worked on. So that's where my thought would be, if they focus on their models more than anything else, that probably would be a lot more beneficial. But then they want to be everywhere. So yeah.
And as soon as OpenAI Atlas was launched, it was announced. 2 days later, Microsoft announced the new AI web browser version of the Microsoft Edge. We don't know a lot about it. It's not launched. They just announced it 2 days after this. And
No. So it is. So we haven't tried it because we don't have Windows and all. I don't know whether it works on Mac or not. So basically, they had AI-enabled search and some AI features on their Edge browser since July itself. Okay. And that was progressing, and it was not very heavily announced and all. So people were not using it a whole lot, but that was there already, right?
Okay.
Then after OpenAI's launch, a couple days later, they launched actions in their browser, and now it's completely agentic browser, and which is where the bigger announcement was made a couple days after OpenAI's announcement, which is where Mustafa Suleyman, who is the CEO of Microsoft AI, said Copilot mode in Edge is evolving into a AI browser that is your dynamic, intelligent companion. With your permission, Copilot can see and reason over your open tabs, summarize and compare information, and even takes actions like booking a hotel and filling out forms. So that's what OpenAI, Microsoft did, and so OpenAI and Microsoft were kind of Microsoft has invested $13 billion in OpenAI, but now as the time is passing, it seems like they are kind of competing with each other, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a very interesting dynamic that is coming out. I mean, OpenAI is kind of becoming a behemoth, and that is competing with almost every other company. But so let's see what Google does with Chrome and when does it do it with Chrome. But Microsoft is already out there, and people using it on Windows would probably be able to access it. And we'll try and see if we can access it and compare. But currently, I'm not very happy with the way things work with Microsoft. So let's see.
And in the last podcast, I believe, we covered OpenAI's Dev Day.
Mm-hmm.
And in that Dev Day, they announced inbuilt application functions in the OpenAI ChatGPT window. So this week we were able to test a lot of those applications. We were able to test Figma and Canva, all these applications. You were the so what was your experience of the test?
So first of all, I tried a little bit of Atlas as well, and then I tried using. I started with Canva because I design most of the thumbnails that we use for YouTube and all with Canva, right? So I was hoping that I would be able to use. I will not have to manually log into Canva now, and I'll be able to do it from OpenAI interface itself, which again didn't work as I expected. So it was able to do certain things. So it was able to authenticate and get access to Canva. Okay, I told it that I want a slide deck there with this name, and on the 13th slide there is this slide. Modify text on that slide so that it looks right for my new thumbnail. Right. So it said it's able to find out that slide deck. I asked it to give me the link. It gave me the link. It was able to show me the screenshots and all, which is fine. Then I asked it, the second thing was, go to the 13th slide. It went to that one as well. But then where I said modify the text on that, it said it's modified it, but nothing has happened. I asked it to show me screenshot and all. It gave me screenshot, and then it realized, it has not modified it. Then it tried again and said, I've done it, but it couldn't do it. So looks to me like a half-baked product. So I tried with Figma as well. It did certain things with Figma. First of all, it was stuck with authentication itself. I had to try it a couple of times, and then I was able to authenticate, and then it was able to do certain things with Figma, but not up to the mark. So my thought is basically OpenAI is rushing into a lot of different directions, and it's putting out half-baked stuff, which at least from my perspective would repel user. People would go there, they would have a bad experience, and they would probably not come back, which is what happened with OpenAI's. They'd launched GPTs as a product. You could have your own company's GPTs, right? So everybody tried it failed, and nobody went back there. So that's what my worry is, that OpenAI is launching so many things which are half-baked. People go in there, they don't get a very good experience, and they'll probably not even try it again. So yeah, that's what my thought is.
So whatever we've discussed about OpenAI today, all the results were slightly underwhelming.
Yep, I think so. Like I said, I think they're rushing into things. They're not completely. They're in the land grabbing mode. They're trying to do as much as possible as soon as possible, and which is where they are kind of not doing justice to anything that they're doing. I hope they put out a better model. If they have to put out so they're saying they will launch GPT-6 this year itself. I hope they're not rushing into it. I hope it's going to be a fully baked model, but at least these apps were not as good as I would have expected from OpenAI.
Yep. And when all of these products, they were announced on Dev Day, a lot of people were excited. But now, as soon as they started using it, there have been a lot of privacy concerns.
Yep.
So basically, I tried to use the inbuilt application function, but you can create, in fact, they advertise that you can create your own Spotify playlist for this, right? And I just realized that I don't know if I want to give my that much information. What songs do I listen to? What playlists that I've made in the past? What is my what amount of time do I spend on Spotify? I don't think OpenAI needs to know that.
Well, absolutely. So one thought is they're trying to expand in different directions. Second is basically they're trying to get as much data as possible. So they're trying to learn from different applications, and So that's what I think that's what they're trying to do, which is I think like you mentioned on social media, people are kind of talking negatively about that, right? So OpenAI is trying to rub the people in the wrong way. Let's see. I mean, there could be a breaking point as well. People stop using everything OpenAI, because Anthropic has got a very good model. Grok has got a very good model. Gemini, Google also has got very good model. Currently, everybody is coming back to OpenAI just because they have got the leading models and all. But if they keep doing things like this and keep rubbing people the wrong way, chances are people would probably not even come back to use these models. So they need to kind of pull their socks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've seen this happen earlier. A decade ago, Facebook was referred to as the company that would steal or collect as much data as possible. But at that time, there were not a lot of options for people, right? Even still, most people use Instagram or Snapchat. There are only 2 or 3 social media platforms, but here we've got so many options from so many different independent companies. So I agree with you on that point. And talking about different companies, different models, I recently I was kind of bored and decided to go to LM Arena, and I was kind of feeling low for some reason, so I decided to write my ambitions, my aim for the next 1 year, for the next 6 months, and of course, in LM Arena you can select different modes, and the mode that I went with was battle mode. So basically, what happens is 2 different AI models respond to the same prompt, and you can choose which answer do you prefer. So I wrote what I wanted to cover in the next 3 months, and I was asking, how do I do this, right? So the model on the left hand side, it told me that I was being a little ambitious, but it gave me a plan on how I could cover that. The model on the right side, it just straight up told me that this is not possible. You're being stupid at the moment.
Absolutely. If you ask question like, how do I complete my engineering in 3 months? The model has, if you talk to any intelligent human, he will say that it's not possible, man. When you're in the second year, you just started the second year, you cannot do the complete engineering in 3 months. That's not possible, right?
Yep.
But the models, they try to please you. They try to, not rub you the wrong way. They sugarcoat everything. So they say, let's make a plan. Let's try this. Within first day, you complete 1 chapter, right? One course completely. So I don't know. So what was your experience?
This was the first time an AI model had disagreed with me in such a blunt manner. I was so impressed with that answer. I obviously voted for that answer. The model on the left hand side, that was kind of agreeing with me. It was Lithium Flow, the rumored Gemini 3.0 Pro model. The model on the right hand side, it was the Qwen 3 VL235B. It's
Vision language, okay. All right. Yep. That's a very interesting model. So that's a video model.
Yep.
VL model, right? I've tried that. I tried it in terms of I downloaded it on Mac Studio, and then I shot a video for Diwali, and then I fed that video to that model, and then I asked it to tell me what do you see in that video. So it very beautifully told me that the landscape is lit with light and there's dark background, things like that. So that was a really crazy. So I was not able to run 235 billion model. I was able to run 30 billion model, I think. So that model itself, there's 8 billion model, there's 30 billion model, and there's 235 billion model. So I agree. The Chinese models are doing so well, and the response that you got, I have never got such a response with any of the models. I've tried OpenAI, I've tried Anthropic as well as Gemini. They always tell you, that's a superb thinking, that's an awesome thinking, and now let's do it. So they are always sycophantic in a little, at least, right? But Chinese models are doing a great job, and it's good to see that he was bluntly able to tell you that engineering cannot be completed in 3 months, and at least somebody's talking truth, right? So
and
great.
Not only that, it was able to give. So in the first line, it told me it's not possible, and then in the second line, it told me that in 3 months you can be prepared enough so that you'll be able to achieve this aim by next year. So that was very realistic.
Absolutely.
And then it gave me all these AI models. They give you this plan, right? The sources that the Qwen model used were incredible as well. They were some of the best sources that my professors were talking about in class.
Wow.
So I was so impressed with this. I posted this on my LinkedIn as well. If any of the viewers want to check it out. So
Yeah, but don't try to complete your engineering in 3 months or a year. Complete 4 years.
Yep.
Take your time, learn through it. Let's not rush through that. Let's not put out a half-baked product like OpenAI that we did the engineering in 3 months and this is what I learned. Right? Let's not go there. So yep. Cool. Anything else?
No, this is basically it from my side. If you want to add anything.
So I have recently been experimenting a lot with model training and model fine tuning, right? Andrej Karpathy recently released some code, NanoChat, which is end-to-end. So if you want to replicate ChatGPT 2 kind of model, recreate it on your own data, he has put it out there on GitHub. It's completely free and open source with all the data and everything. So if you run that on so there are two different versions. Basically, one version is 20 layered model, which takes about $100 for you to train it with NVIDIA's H100s. 8 H100s are required. It takes almost 4 hours to train it, right? That, and then there is another version which is 32 layers, I think. That takes about 40 hours for you to train. That he's put a link out there in his GitHub repository. You can talk to that model. Sounds very, interesting, super fast as well. It's a very small model, right? But the point is, if somebody wants to learn how to train the model, that is one repository that you can clone, and for $800, you'll be able to train a GPT-2 level or GPT-2 level model end to end, and then you can start learning from pieces, how pre-training works, how training works, what is reinforcement learning, how all of that works. That's very interesting. So I have not used NVIDIA's H100s for that. I've been using my Mac Studio, so it's not able to scale to that level, but still it's able to they've given some code for that as well. If you want to run the training on Macs with CPUs, you could run some of those codes. So I've been experimenting with that. I've been struggling a little bit, but then anything new that you want to do, you have to obviously struggle through that and figure things out, and that's where you learn. So it's all Python code and a little bit of Rust as well, but that's something very interesting. And apart from that, he's got a couple of videos on YouTube as well on how you can completely end-to-end train or the models. So I've been kind of doing a deep dive there. I've used my holidays for doing that, and yeah, that's pretty much on the learning side that I've done.
So I think we've covered all the topics that we wanted to discuss, and in fact, I wanted to add one thing. The way we do these podcasts is we share a Google Sheet and we add whatever topics that we find interesting in that week. And at the end, we discuss whatever topics we want to discuss and finalize whatever we want to talk about. But this time what I did was I gave Perplexity Comet access to all the sources that I use for my knowledge. I gave it access to my TechCrunch account, my Product Hunt account, Feedly, everything. And I gave it some parameters that, I prefer these companies, this sort of news. Go and make an Excel for me. It failed the first time. For some reason, it made a blank Excel. But after 30 minutes, I went outside. And when I came back, this entire itinerary was prepared for me. And I thought that was brilliant, because that's...
No, absolutely. That's the way to work with AI. So for example, AI automates a lot of your repetitive work, right? So what you would do is you would generally go through all of those, articles or whatever you've got, right? And then you will assimilate whatever, right? So it brought all of those links for you at one place, and kind of, based on the theme that you had, it was able to kind of eliminate some of the articles, right? Then you could manually go through and review, right? But manual going through and reviewing process is really important because AI makes a lot of mistakes, right? So that's where even now, so one person could probably do a job of 4 or 5 people, but then you have that one person has to be good with reviews, should not just hand over the complete task to AI, because that's where all of the failures are happening. So yeah, I mean, good to know that you are kind of automating a lot of things on your side, because that will give you some more time to do some more stuff. But that's how you become more productive.
Ultimately, awesome. We scrapped half of the topics that were selected by Perplexity Comet.
This time I was happy to get a lot of good topics from you, which kind of reduced the work for me as well. So really interested to see how you automate the whole thing. Maybe you could develop an app to completely automate that process. That will be helpful. Cool. Alrighty then. That's a wrap for this edition of Neural Nest. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.
Thank you.